So, without further ado, the first speaker is Mr. Francesco Blaha. I'm very excited to welcome us here. He's a really good friend and colleague, and I'm really admiring his work. Francesco has heaps of experience. It would take too much time to explain everything, but he has a lot of experience working in fisheries. He has been working as a fisher, so he has like really real life experience and onboard experience. And in the more recent years, or recent years. And since after becoming he moving from Argentina to the Pacific area, he has been one of the most sought after consultants in the region, and he has a wealth of experience, especially when it comes to monitoring, control, and surveillance. Perfect. And post-set measures. So Francesco is like a wealth of knowledge. So I'm very excited for you to hear his presentation. Given that he is based in New Zealand, we will hear his presentation first and then we will open up for questions so that he can go to sleep because it's quite late. Um, he also just noted, if you might have seen in the chat, he is fluent in Portuguese as well. If you have questions in Portuguese, please feel free to ask. Um, but otherwise, you can raise your hand afterwards or feel free to pop the question into the chat, and myself and Devon will monitor the chat and will keep an eye out of it. So, without further ado, Francesco, over to you. We are so excited to have you here, and I can't wait can't wait to see about your presentation. Thank you so much.
All right. So testing. Can you hear me okay? Good. Anyway, good. I guess good morning, everyone. Bon dia. Bonjour. I appreciate the invitation. Just will basically go over what we do here in the Pacific. I think that in general terms, we have spent too much time always been looking at sort of a south to north to see what they do in Europe, see what they do in America, see what they do in all these places. And there's very good examples that happens in the southern part of the world or in the former colonies that are perhaps more relevant. So when I came to the Pacific, I started working after being a fisherman with the Pacific Island Fisheries Forum Agency, and I explained a bit what they do and what is the strength. So, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that in no way or form I dare to speak for the Pacific. I've been a guest worker in the Pacific for over half my life, and I've been honored to speak with the Pacific in some aspects, but that's it. No one needs someone else from afar to speak on their behalf. Being a mixed race, I have very strong views on this, and I think colonization is finished, so people can speak for themselves. So I just want to make that very clear. I'm here working as somebody who works in the Pacific, but I'm not from the Pacific yet. As I say, it's been over half my life in this part of the world. First thing is that just to give a view, we in the Pacific Islands, particularly in the tuna fishery, which is the biggest fishery in the world, the Western Central Pacific tuna fishery is around 60% of the tuna that is in a can comes from this part of the world. We have the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission, which is the RFMO that manages all of this, which is all of the countries you see in the picture there, plus some of the distant water fishing nations. Then we have FFA, which is the Pacific Island Fisheries Forum Agency. I'm going to speak a bit about deeper. That provides fisheries management, development, and MCS support. Then we have SPC, the Secretariat of the Pacific Community, now called the Pacific Community. That is the provider of fishery science and data management. And then we have the Parties of the Nauru Agreement, or PNA, which is a smaller subgroup of FFA. That is a regional group that support and foster the development for 8 mostly Pesena type countries that specialize in Pesena fishery. And then we have the national governments. Yeah. So this is the sort of the schedule from the bigger to the smaller. And you can see on the side all the name of the countries that are involved in this as part of PNA, as part of FFA, and as part of the distant water fishing nations that we have. So, the FFA countries is the FFA membership is this group started in 1979, mostly because through UNCLOS they were giving the opportunity to UNCLOS, the Law of the Sea Convention, giving the opportunities to administer their EEZ, their exclusive economic zone, and they realized that this is going to be the future of the, particularly because these are very small countries. And when I'm talking small, I'm talking literally small in terms of population and land size. I just came back from working 2 weeks ago from working in Tuvalu. Tuvalu is a country that has 11,000 inhabitants, the whole country. Yeah. This is smaller than some of the villages where we normally, some of the little cities in the provinces of most developed countries. And it's a country that depends on everything. So it has all the functions of every country, but with 11,000 inhabitants. So pretty much everyone has two jobs there. And fisheries is fundamental to the development. We are talking around 70% of the national income is generated by fisheries access agreements. But anyway, so this organization is pretty much started as with a vision of the leaders of these countries that saying, well, we are small enough. If we have to repeat every piece of fisheries structure, management, and system in each of our countries, this is going to ruin us. And secondly, the distant water fishing nations are gonna play us apart. No, I'm not gonna do this because the country next door doesn't ask me for this. So they got together and they have a common approach. As you see, the lemma of this organization is strength through collaboration. So the more you do things together, the harder it is for others to take you apart. So these countries have agreed to a series of things and a series of tools that I will be talking about. But in principle, it's an advisory body. It's not, an organization that has powers, executive powers, nothing. It's just an advisory body that brings expertise in-house to support all of the members. So instead of having, I don't know, a VMS system, a vessel monitoring system on each country, we have it centralized here, and each country has access to it. Otherwise, it's the repetition of 17 systems, which is quite expensive. Instead of having fisheries development policies or fisheries management policies that are at each country that share natural resource, there is a structure here that supports the managers in the countries to work it out. So the purpose is, of course, to maximize the economic and social benefits of the fisheries. Yep. And they support the countries and territories in three broad tasks: making sure that this is sustainable and will provide tuna now and in the future, develop the fishery to harvest, process, and market tuna to create jobs, income, and an industry, and of course, to monitor, control, and survey the fishery to stop illegal fishing and ensuring benefits go towards fishing that follows the rules and management set by governments. Now we're going to focus on this latest bit. As I was saying, the fisheries management side is providing legal policy and legal frameworks, and in particularly finding common factors and uniting policy positions to bring at the RFMO level, at the meeting levels, as a common front. When you go to one of those meetings, you will hear a lot, let's say the Solomon Islands saying, I make this a statement on behalf of FFA. So even if it's one country, it's representing 17. Yeah. So you have a strength through collaboration again. And this is constantly through all the meetings. So you talk with one voice. And of course, not everyone wants the same, but there's a tradition in the Pacific to come to a consensus. So once there is consensus, which is always done before the big meetings among the members, they achieve consensus, and that is what they bring to the table. The issues of the fisheries development, of course, you don't want just to sell rights to other countries to come and fish. You want to maximize your income and have the tuna of your country develop your own livelihoods, and basically to advance individual and collective fisheries interests as well as trade policy. And economic indicators. It's important to know how much money are you making from tuna and how much money is coming into the country, because that then allows you to better management, to know where you have to develop, but also to put money into looking at what you need to do in order to preserve and manage and monitor and control and surveil that fishery. And the last is fisheries operation, which support MCS and also information technology, vessel registration and tracking. So we have this little star explaining here, where we have the monitoring component, which is the VMS-IAS, the regional surveillance picture, which I'm going to show you later on what it is, the observer program, the data fusion intelligence, the control part is the regional register, where all the vessels are that fish in the 17 countries, the harmonized terms and conditions, which is a very important tool because it basically all the licensing to fish in any of the 17 countries has a minimum that is harmonized among all the members. And this is key, because if that wasn't the case, then as I say before, and I've seen this in my limited experience in West Africa, people go, the country next door doesn't ask me for this, so I'm gonna go and put my money and buy their licenses instead of buying the licenses here, because they always ask me less there. So by having harmonized minimum terms and conditions, everyone knows what is the deal. Then legislative reform. Obviously, the legislation has to be keep updated and has to advance with the different requirements and the different changes, particularly in terms of the advancement of electronic originated evidence. So we're talking about cameras, we're talking about IIS, we're talking about VMS, we're talking about things that are not in existence. You still need to use that information in order to prepare cases, etc., etc. Then we have the surveillance, which is through agreements to share data, satellite trials. More and more satellite imaging is becoming important. Aerial surveillance. We operate with assets. It's a huge ocean, as you can see. So besides having vessels, we have aerial surveillance support by Australia, New Zealand, France, and the US. And regional operations. There is 4 huge regional operations that take 22 weeks of the year, where each different parts of the Pacific Ocean, of the Western Sula Pacific Ocean, are surveilled regionally with those 4 players, plus the assets of each country. And then the support that we were talking before, that is how you support the members through the negotiations at the meetings, the professional support for different members, and the training. In a second, I have my family screaming downstairs, so I'm going to tell them to be quiet. Hey, I'm in a meeting, please. Can you guys keep the voice down? So, my apologies. That's the problem of working from home. So, then we have regional standards. These are standards that we apply regionally for all the countries, which are the licensing, the port state measures, electronic reporting, electronic monitoring. We are on the development of a catch documentation scheme. As I say, it was the standards for the harmonized terms and conditions, and sorry, no, what's happening, and the harmonized condition and the laws, as we discussed that. We're trying to have the strengthening of the laws all through the system at the same time. Our procedures are the data analysis procedures that are standardized among all members, enhanced capacity and capability, which is standardized training through all the membership. And this standardized training going from the legal side up to the boarding officer sides. The optimized use of surveillance and response assets. So this is if there is a problem in one area and one vessel is closer to the other, all of this is managed centrally, and that maximize and optimize the costs associated to have surveillance vessels, assets, and response to incidents that may need to minute access. And this cannot, this is more sometimes not just related to fisheries, but also related to search and rescue. Enhanced post-state measures implementation, and this is an area where we're working a lot at the moment, because there is not a lot of ports, but and they're far from everything. So to have standardized port state measures procedures means that it's when a vessel comes to port, any port in the region is a minimum standards and minimum expectations that will happen there. Again, this is to avoid some vessels going to the ports that ask the less. And of course, the final is the develop and implementation of a catch documentation scheme, which is sort of an integration of all of the MCS parts. Why will we do all this? Why will all the countries get together? Mostly because many of these activities are very expensive and have to be repeated in each country. And since we share a transborder resource like tuna, there are common factor costs among all the countries to produce the same results. So it's actually efficient and cheaper to do it together. Steering costs is the best way to maximize benefits. Furthermore, it's a great opportunity to prevent the distant water fishing nations that sometimes are also the donors from exploiting them apart. I participate sometimes in some bilateral negotiations, and some of the donors still remind that in 1982 they built a bridge. Yeah, and it's like, well, that was a long time ago. Now we're talking about fisheries, so why you have to bring? I thought you built a bridge because you were trying to help us, not trying to get cheaper or less conditions from us. And again, this FFA model cannot be directly transplanted to other jurisdictions. So you cannot just say, let's do in the Bay of Bengal or in the Mozambique Channel the same like the FFA does. But I think there are key elements that underpin the MCS platform of FFA that could help, but also that countries that have coastal states under similar pressures to those in the Pacific. I was in July fishing off the coast of Guinea-Bissau, and I was seeing that very simple things like once we do here could have improved the operations for Guinea-Bissau vessels fishing in Guinea-Bissau that actually go to Senegal to unload, which is very similar to what happens with vessels that fish in the United States of Micronesia and come to the Marshall Islands to unload, for example. Again, so all the member countries of FFA have some form of national MCS activities and incorporating a vessel monitoring scheme, which we know is just to see where the vessels are, an observer scheme, which is standardized among all the countries, port controls and monitoring, boarding and inspection and at-sea patrols, area surveillance, data management and MCS coordination, legislation, regulation and management plans, licensing schemes, vessel records and authorization to fish, and of course, prosecutions. This is the shared monitoring, controlling, surveillance scheme that all of the members have. And while different countries may have better strength on one on the others, there is support by the organization to the members, but also in between members. We have, for example, I work a lot in the Marshall Islands, and we have a lot of joint work with Tuvalu, where Tuvaluan officers come to work with us, and we go and work with them. The vessel monitoring system is always a very important one, of course, and I'm not going to explain you how this particularly works, but in a big picture, it's basically it's a series of satellites that are based and land stations, vessels. So the satellite connects to the vessel sends an information, the satellite, from the satellite to the land station, from the land station to the national monitoring centers, and from there can go into patrol vessels and aircraft or share among all other countries. In the Pacific, we get to see where every vessel is and where everything does. And we have in the FFA register alone an average of around 1,300 vessels every year. And these are mostly long line, purseines, fish carriers, fuel bunkers, and a few Poland line vessels. So we will know constantly where these vessels are, and we can do this. So we have the Regional Fisheries Surveillance Center in the Solomon Islands, but also each country has a repetition of what you see there. So this is our regional surveillance picture, where each point, so the big red lines is the EEZs of the countries, and then you see some green, some yellow, and some red vessels with dots that are the vessels, and each of them, each color means something, and we can see this any form on any time frame that we want. And of course, I obscure the names here, but otherwise we will see the names and the flags and the licensing conditions, but also the compliance index. The color that you see refers to the compliance level of each vessel. For example, we have a high risk, so if it's like a drop, it's a high risk vessel on the VMS, which I will explain later. Is the high risk is based on the compliance history. The green drops low, yellow, of course, is a medium risk. And we have the drops, but also we have those little hexagons, which is for the vessels that are fishing in the high seas areas, but do not have license in the countries that we work. So this is important because as a condition to fish in the commission, you need to have a VMS, even if you don't fish in the national waters. If you fish in both, that's great, and we will have you under the VMS system with the drop shape. But if you only fish in the high seas, we still will control you. Otherwise, you will not allow to fish under the under the international structure of the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission. We run the multilateral operations, where you get the FFA technical support, other law agencies and enforcement agencies of the different member countries, and we're talking here customs, we're talking here the groups, Australian Department of Defense, the national law enforcement agents, immigration, etc., national. And when we talk about the quads is France, the US, which are still colonial masters in this part of the world, and then Australia and New Zealand, which are the biggest developed countries that support and have a very strong interest in sustainable fisheries in the region. Then the national enforcement assets, which are the patrol boats based on each country, media contacts, national fisheries agents, and air assets, where we access planes flying over different regions to provide information if they're able to do so. So I'm not going to go, each of them can be a whole seminar in itself. I just wanted to show you the integration and again, collaboration. Yeah, this is all of these countries have their own history and sometimes they weren't particularly nice to each other, but all is this put aside in order to foster the common good. We need fish, and fish is the biggest resource we have. So we can discuss issues about, what happened in 300 years ago. However, at the moment, fisheries is our common good. So the Observer program, of course, is fundamental because it's not only, interestingly, in this part of the world, the Observer program has a biological role, but also has a compliance role. The observers do not enact upon compliance. They are not fisheries officers, but they record compliance issues if they see them. We have this has been provided by Australia. Australia has a very strong interest in terms of security, not only in terms of fisheries. So they support all the countries by providing one of these patrol vessels that get involved in a variety of missions, not just fisheries. Uh, Again, this is aerial surveillance. The Foreign Fisheries Agencies has been given a plane that is operated. For now, it's for free. This is supported by Australia and New Zealand. Uh, so they go and support the operations of surveillance. So they go and do transects in different areas, and they communicate with the central and says, well, central God says, well, you will see this vessel from the VMS coming up in 2 minutes at the present speed you're going to your left at 30 degrees. And the pilots and the fisheries officer on board will go, oh, yes, I see it, that's a vessel. But then sometimes they may go, oh, here's a vessel that I see that you haven't told me anything about. So this is when we find dark targets, which thankfully has not been the case for a long time now, for a few years, where we have vessels. We haven't found vessels that are not licensed to be where they're fishing. Um, then, of course, there's this important. So the thing about the integration, which is very important, is the information management facility. How do we share all those information, all the information that all the systems generate to make sense of all this, but also to have the history of compliance of the vessels and to be able to focus better what we're looking at in the future. Is this working? Yes, we have done two big exercises in 2016 and 2020, what we call the IUU quantification analysis. Basically, we don't only go, oh, look, they are fishing illegally. No, we quantify what it is. And as you can see, uh, for example, the biggest issue we have is issues around misreporting more than unlicensed fishing and post-harvest risks. So the focus is on trying to understand better the reporting side. But you can see, for example, the misreporting is more or less stable. We got better and trying to analyze it and to put more efficiency. What you see on top is PS per seining. Then we have two areas of long lining, the tropical long lining and the southern long lining. Again, this is very specific, but as you can see, in many cases, the numbers in 2020 are lower than the numbers in 2016. And this is the positive thing. Why? Because we use the data of 2016 to focus our resources in the areas where we wanted to put more attention. Yeah. So again, this is a seminar of like 20 minutes for something that could take a few days to do. So my apologies if I couldn't go deeper as you can, but if I could trying to answer, I do now. Otherwise, you have with Bianca, you have a person that has been working in the area and knows the system more than many people that I know has been for much longer in the region. And she's a very good academic and studies on the systems that we have here. And again, not everything is going to be compatible. However, there are lessons that can be passed. This is a small part of the world. Very recently, I'm almost 60 years old, and I'm older than all of the countries I work with. Colonization was until very recently. Some of the countries got independence in the 60s, other ones just later in the 80s. 86 is our newest member. So some of the issues that we share, some of the issues we have are shared by other parts of the world that went through colonization. And I think that the strength that they show by working together is something that is a positive and always going to be a positive. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a really interesting presentation. I learned heaps. It was a pleasure to listen to you. So we will now open up the floor for questions. So please feel free to either raise a hand to ask the question directly to Francesco or just put it in the chat box. I'm monitoring the chat box so I can then provide it and like read it out loud for everyone. So please feel free to use this unique opportunity to ask questions now. To give you all some time to think about what you would like to ask, I will take the um, I use my role and will start off and kick off with the first question. So, Francesco, thank you so much. That was really
Mhm,
interesting. You mentioned in one of your slides that, and you mentioned also in the end that, of course, the FFA system and not everything can be just translated into different regions. But there are different elements that underpinning the monitoring, control, and surveillance aspect, which can be used in other
mhm.
regions. So I'm wondering what, from your experience, what would be more or less the three or the one really important tool which would be one of the most effective if we have to start choosing and to get a shared monitoring and control system running more or less in, like, for example, the Southwest Indian Ocean region.
Yeah, I'll say that the civilians in you asked for three. We have monitoring, control, and surveillance. So the more you can share that, for example, to have a, a common VMS. Yeah, each country spend a lot of money, and I know this from my work in Africa. Each country spends a lot of money with the VMS, and sometimes if there is no donors, this doesn't work, then they don't get VMS, etc., etc. Having a common VMS helps everyone. People go really paranoid. Oh, but they want to see what the vessels are doing, etc., etc. Yeah, but exactly that's the point. We really want to see what the vessels are doing, and the more you share, the less. Sometimes I remember being looking at things and we just cannot see what happens when they cross the border. Still the same boat. You know, it's not like the fish goes to the border and says, no, sorry, I don't have the visa, I cannot go into here. No, no, that's not happened. So pairing the VMS will be element one. Then the second one, which is kind of associated, is to have minimum standards
Hello.
of licensing. Yeah.
Sorry,
So
just please, everyone keep, yeah,
yeah,
thank you for moving. Yeah.
to have minimum standards of licensing. And again, this is all in the internet. You can find the minimum standard of licensing that FFA uses, and maybe you can put the link. I put the link there later. But to have the minimal standards of licensing means that any vessel that fishes in that area need to comply with the same minimal elements. Yeah. Again, everyone benefits from this. Yeah. And three is to standardize as much as possible and to support all of the surveillance elements. Yeah. Yeah. The more you operate with those together or with assets together, the cheaper it becomes for everyone. Yeah. And I know that sometimes there are historical issues or geopolitical issues that interfere on having this, openness and transparency, on not even transparency, just good business case to do it. But we need to make decisions about you can maintain your political difference, yet you want to have a sustainable and controlled fishery because that is for the good of everyone. Yeah. I would say sharing cost is not sharing benefits. Yeah. Each member will have his own things and his own but look for common factors. I remember when I was doing at school, we had this thing called common factors that you find. Well, and yeah, look for the common factors and share those common factors. And then anything above that, it's your business. But if you
Yeah.
share those common factors, things will be better. Simple as
That,
that.
that's great. Thank you. And we have one question in the chat
Uh-huh.
where someone asked, what is the role of the ITC being a legally binding tuna operator with a good membership and which does not have a shared BMS or AS in place to deter IU fishing? So I know your experiences in the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission. So how do you
Yeah.
see the role of the respective RFMO when it comes to developing BMS and AIS tools?
So I have, in fact, one of the compliance officers at the IOTC is a very good friend. So I've worked sidelines to the IOTC for a long time. first thing, the IOCC, the FFA does not operate in the IOTC because it's not part of the Pacific. However, there's a small difference. There's a small big difference. The IOTC, it's actually a body that depends on FIO, while the Western and Central Pacific is an independent organization based on the compliance agreement and UNCLOS, etc., etc. Now, say that an RFMO is the expression of the membership. Yeah, RFMO is a space where the people who sit there decide what they're going to agree to do. Now, if there is no VMS sharing in the IOTC, I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think that they share, for example, the port state measures system. That is a decision that the members take. Yeah. However, if, for example, a group of coastal states, and that's what happens that's what happened in the Pacific, when the FFA membership shared all of the VMS among all of them, they brought that to the table under equivalent measures. So if a group of members does it, then they can ask for equivalent measures for other members. Yeah. So I will say, if a group of coastal countries in the IOTC takes on sharing data on the VMS, then they can ask for equivalent measures from other members. The thing, what happens, and this is not just in the RFMOs, but we are very good at pointing fingers to others. But when you point fingers to others, it's three fingers pointing to you. So you cannot expect others to do what you're not doing. Yeah. And this is not geopolitics. This is just old fisherman knowledge, I, as a captain, I could not ask anyone to do what I wouldn't do first. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francesco. We have now to move on. If you're
Okay,
interested
good.
more in Francesco's work, I shared his blog in the chat because I learn heaps and I'm always looking forward for those new things. I'm sorry we now have to move on, but we maybe try to find some other time afterwards to respond to this question. So thank you so much, Francesco,
No
for
worries. You
joining
can
us,
send me the
especially.
questions by email. I
Perfect.
respond tomorrow, and then you pass it down to Salim. Okay.
Perfect. We will do
Anyways,
that. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, good night, and
thank you
thank
very
you so
much, everyone.
much.
Thank you very much, and you have a good seminar, and hope to catch up some stage with. I know some of the names, but yeah. All right, boa noite, and see you guys. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. So now moving on to our next speaker, Mr. Innocent Sailale. He's the head of the Information, Computer and Technology Center of the Tanzanian Fisheries Research Institute. Mr. Innocent is a professional ICT expert specialized in fisheries systems development, including web and mobile applications. He held a bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering and a master's in informatics. So he is currently spearheading the development of the Fisheries and Aquaculture Information Management System, short FAMES, which is a comprehensive platform for fisheries data collection, analysis, and reporting. FAME supports modules for catch assessment, frame surveys, socioeconomics monitoring, aquaculture management, biometric research, and fish market information. It has processed over 400,000 data records for major water bodies, and the system currently serves more than 1,400 fisheries stakeholders in the East African Community region. Mr. Innocent has done heaps of work supported by various funding bodies such as the FAO, WWF, GSZ, the European Union, and he was honored as the best fisheries innovator at the FAR 45 Vibe International Conference in Tanzania. So I'm really excited to have Mr. Innocent here with us today. So please start sharing your screen and over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Of course, you have controlled me too much, but it's okay. We at Tanzania, we are having some initiatives on the data collection systems. We have been working for several years on data collection using mobile data collection system for our water bodies within our country. So today I will just give you the briefly about how we have been doing this work for particular time for now. I'll share my screen and I will start with the my presentation. Yeah. So as I introduce myself, my name is Engineer Innocent Sailale. I'm working with the Tanzania Fisheries Research Institute, which is under the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries. We have the system famous known as FIMES, or famously they call it ICAS. It has been started since 2017 in our country. The system is working currently as Bianca mentioned. It is working on different water bodies, but today I'll mainly talk about marine. But it also works with Lake Victoria. We have a very big lake known as Lake Victoria. We have also Lake Tanganyika, and we have other water bodies in other countries. As the system now is being used for different countries, in Kenya, they are using it for Lake Victoria for different projects. Also, Uganda, and also Burundi, Congo, and Zambia, and Tanzania as well. So we have been sharing these water bodies. So we have been having a sharing information system that collects data, and we have the same methodology for data collection, data computation, and reporting. So this is how we came up to harmonize the information system. As previous, we were using our data collection manually. We have been using a lot of time, a lot of resources at the moment of data collection until data getting out or decision making. We had some challenges that we were collecting data for long time that we were not able to do decision making on time. That sometimes data collection might take process might take 6 to 3 months, even for issues that needs quick decision making. So we came up with a system known as FIMES for data collection, data storage, data analysis, and computation. This system is collecting different projects data for aquaculture, data for capture fisheries, different projects. I'll talk about them on this slide. We have catch assessment data, and the system has incorporated the catch assessment, the production data for all these water bodies that I've been mentioning, including the Indian Ocean. We have also a frame survey for understanding the effort of the water bodies. We are collecting understanding the post-harvest loss, the education infrastructures, all the things that are available in the landing site facilities. We also collect data for impact economic assessment, understanding the economic assessment of our fishermen and the people surrounding the water bodies. We have also stock assessment modules that is working there. We have also marketing information that is working on the side of Kenya. We have also this the community engagement module. We call it potential fishing area. We compute the potential fishing areas, and also we share them to our fishermen, and they collect those information by where they can fish for the day, where they can sell their fishes, and issues of understanding weather also. If the place they are supposed to go and fish, is it suitable for them to go and fish or not? So this is a big system that has been used as a data collection system. Out of this system, we have also data for monitoring and surveillance, but they are running under normal mention as my colleague there mentioned, the MCS system that is running and seeing about how the fishing activities happen. But through that all activity, we've went so far at least to understand the fishing activities of our artisanal fishermen. As you can see, this system has been helping us. It has minimized time for reporting, and we almost get data near real time. We auto-report almost all the data that are getting in. We also control data entry by making sure that all the intelligence for fisheries, like during data collection, the relationship, the logics in fisheries are equipped in the data collection, a mobile gadget for controlling the quality of data. We also track enumerator, where do they send the data from. We auto-collect the coordinate of where the enumerator is sitting and sending the data. We give feedback to the enumerator. Once he has collected the data, he can see how much he has collected and what it has contributed to the to its environment, of how much the landing site has been collecting so far for a certain type of species and the rest. Of course, for easy sharing, we have enabled the system to share with the international, like IOTC format. We have integrated our system so that when we want to report to IOTC, you just click one button and then you aggregate all the tuna data that are needed through IOTC data. So through computing within the algorithm, it becomes easy in reporting. So these are the what we are doing so far. I will show you some dashboard of the system of how we have been operating so far. We have a dashboard, and because we have collected so many data for almost more than 5 years, going to 7 years now. So we have decided now to start giving the dashboard to decision makers, the people who decide to what they can do. Closing the door, some noise outside. Yeah. We normally give the dashboard to decision makers, and understanding that how they can see the indicators of fisheries, how do they proceed. We also integrate with the system with some requirements, like in our country, we need to report to National Bureau of Statistics, and also we need to make sure that we give some other integration, like export and import data licensing system. We integrate all these so that we get a unified report, so that makes easy to track the progress of data collection or the fisheries sector in our country. We also have integrated, as I said previous, we are on the time now, we are not yet, but we are going to integrate the Tanzanian mainland and Zanzibar, so that we have a unified tool that can make a unified decision making, because we are sharing our water body. Our fishermen move from one side to another side. As I said, this is management tool. My presentation is very short, but I'll take you through the system and see what exactly I was talking about. For example, I'll take you over the, okay. We have the decision-making dashboard. This is where we have aggregated all the data that we have been collecting for some for some times. We have cage data for people who are using cage. As I said, the system works also on fresh waters. So the places where the cage culture is going on, we have mapped also. We have also a place that we are supposed to, people who are supposed to place some FADs, fishing aggregated devices. We have the way of showing how you can place these suitable area for placing FADs, those fishing aggregated areas. Like if you want to plant a new fishing aggregated device, like how you can do it. We have already computed and understanding, removing all the areas like near to marine protected areas, also shipping lines and the rest, so that we display few these where places you can put a fire fishing. We have also potential fishing zone. We have potential fishing zone. This helps manager to understand where the fishing activity might occur during this month. For example, previous month and coming months, we can see where we are predicting the potential fishing zone to be. We have done this also for management issues. As you can see, these are concentrated area for the month. Well, let me come for this month, from December. We have the concentrated areas, like these are red one. These are the area where the potential fishing area might be. How did we do it? We used the satellite data and also fishing data for artisanal fishermen and also for industrial fishing. That we observed also the sea surface water. As you can see here, these patterns mentioned here, it's like detecting the sea surface temperature change, sea surface fronts, the change in temperature, like small water mixing that is happening. And after that, we send this fishermen to fish over those areas, and they send us the catchability. And we have observed that for almost 3 years, and see that once the fishermen fish, they normally fish within those potential fishing areas, and they catch more fish than if they don't fish on the potential fishing areas. And we follow these potential fishing areas, and this is how even the fishermen have been looking every day on when they want to fish. They normally look for these potential fishing zones. So this helps managers to understand where exactly the fishing might be happening at this particular moment. And if it is doing the MCS patrols, it's easy. We can even navigate that. They normally fish, even the big fishermen, they normally fish following this potential fishing zone, and they move with them. Because this is how the mixing of water appears, and the nutrients come up when the species start eat those nutrients, and aggregation of species occurred, and then so this one has been helping us on understanding where our fishermen are operating and how much they catch, and it's easy to monitor activities of illegal fishing or the rest. So this is one of the applications. As I said, we have been having this system that now it gives us some output for people to use as managers. We also have the same system for fishermen. If they want to fish and want to sell the fish, they download the application known as Potential Fishing Zone, and they normally say they can where should I fish today, and they register themselves. It's a secured system, and they put their licensing number. For example, I'm giving you the example. Someone wants to fish maybe today. We will normally say which boat he has and what the registration number he has to mention, and maybe what maximum interval he can go and fish. As you can see here, normally the system will tell him like, yes, we got some potential fishing area you can go. As I said, as I said, this is, for example, it is been observed that 2.7 kilometer is where a fisherman can go. As you can, I can zoom up and see these people from Mafia Island. They can just go and fish over this today. And under that area, we have this wind speed, which is 16.6, and it is not red so that they can fish. Above 20, the wind is much stronger. It gives them alerts, yeah, issues like that, and the visibility and the rest. But these coordinates, they are also sent to their mobile phone. This is a mobile application phone. They can just decide. So this helps us this way. If tomorrow he wants to fish again, he must record his fishing. So we collect the data of yesterday, how much he has fished, which type of species, for him to continue using the application. So once he come here and check, you can see it will be giving him how much he has spent, like fuel, food, and the rest, and give him some clue of catchment and profits and loss of his activity. And the rest also, he can decide to publish the species that he has caught for the day. He can just decide to say, okay, I want to sell this fish, and he can just post the fish, and the people who are around the Tanzania, they can just decide and buy the fish. So this is now, as I said, we have collected data and we have been using the data for management and also for fishermen also to encourage them how to use the application, and also indirectly we are collecting data on back of it. This is this is the system for managers, as I said, but we have now the FIMES, the real system for the data collection that is currently collecting data. As you can see, this is the system, which it has many data collection forms for the different projects. We have been collecting these data like lobster data, ringnet data, biometric, morphometric. As you can see, we have many forms that are collecting data within our country or shared countries, and we have more than 400,000 data forms already collected within. But all of these data are collected in different water bodies, in different projects, but all of them stays in the same database. And it's easy now to use this data, as I showed you, the dashboard for decision making, dashboard for users. It's also displayed through this data, the use of this data. I don't want to take much of your time. The system is very big. It has different modules, as I said. Modules are like here. They are also available on the mobile application. When you go to Android, you download the ECAS, or you can download these modules, eFishers or PFZ. These are available for data collection, but all of these applications, they're sending data to the single system for storing and for processing, and also for users to use. So let me end up there, and at least I can bring some question out of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I found that really, really interesting, very inspiring, and I really kudos to the fantastic work you and your colleagues are leading. That's really great. So let's open up the floor for questions. We have like 10 minutes now to ask questions. So again, please either raise your hand or put it in the chat. It would be really great to have like some really interesting conversations going. Again, to let everyone think about it, what they would like to ask, I will ask the first question. So, Mr. Innocent, that was really useful. Thank you so much. And I think, do you think that this system can be shared broadly around the SWIO region, and then maybe can be linked together so it can be more like like a regional wide system?
Yeah, we of course, Bianca, because as you can see the flags here, we have started integrating some other countries who are willing, like we have Kenya already, Uganda already, and as I said, we have Burundi, Congo, and also we have we are trying the system to Mozambique. They were also trying to see if they can start using, because the only thing of using the system is you are allowing to share common data collection forms and methodology and the way our artisanal fishermen are working is really related, and and the system is flexible enough because it's customizable and it is available in different languages. As you can see here, it's available in French, in Portuguese, in Swahili. So, and it is customable. You can just download the system and you can install it to your country, and you can start using it. And the only thing you are supposed to you'll be benefiting is once people from Kenya develop any new module, it is also easy for you to reuse it for your country, and you prosper together and see all the challenges. For example, if Tanzania we got some challenges, we just encountered it, and how we have encountered it, you can adopt it or you can modify it and use it on your own side. So we have brought something that is really working for our artisanal fishery, because our artisanal fisheries kind of somehow it is related. Then the type of gears we are using, the type of boats we are using, the methodology of fishing, and the rest has been included in the system, and it is easy to change the system even in traditional language, because it has been composed with the translation way. You can even translate those species in local names of the or in really local names of where it's available, as they call it, but the name is also attached to the FAO 3 alpha code for at least computing them and reporting them as a unified, standardized reporting way in entire countries if they use it. And it is the system that can be adopted in area with no NFE. It doesn't have NFE, so it's something that is being developed for artisanal fisheries, and it can be used also. For example, the issue of potential fishing zone, it can be used also to other countries. It's just a matter of deciding to allow the system to compute your data and give feedback to your fishermen, and then you can control your fishermen where they go to fish, and they will be reporting how much they caught, and also you can be monitoring your potential fishing zone movement over months, because all the algorithm has been placed together within the system. So many researchers have worked within the same system. So many brain have been worked in the same system. So it is easy now to share these common knowledges that we have them in the region. Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Over to you, Devon.
Yes, thank you very much, Innocent, for that wonderful presentation. I don't know if you have answered my question, but maybe let me post it because my hand was still up. So you mentioned that data collected is from all over the water bodies within the region. That is the fresh water, also the Indian Ocean, as in the ocean region. So my question is there like an analysis of the data collected from this kind of water bodies, or is it just all the information that is brought to the system? Thank you.
Thank you. As I think I got you right. Yes, the algorithm is there. For example, Kenya in Kenya, Lake Victoria, we are using the SOP, the standard operating procedures for computing total catches, catch per unit efforts, boat activity coefficients, and the rest. We are using the same algorithm for computing them. The only thing is changing the species and changing the behavior of the water body. it changes. The SOP is the standard operating procedure is changing according to the water body, because we have different species there, we have different vessels over there. So it has been done that way in a different water bodies, and we produce the same common common results for the different countries, but using the same algorithm, but just changing only local names and the way you call your stuff. If I got you right, you can add if I didn't get, I didn't well.
No, that is okay. Actually, you answered it perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you. We have one question in the chat, and the participant asked whether there's any response from the government of Mozambique to join this collaboration to start using this methodology to collect data. So any information on that would be really great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's a very good question. I don't have a clear answer on this, but we don't come as Tanzania to Mozambique. We normally use this regional organization like FAO or SWIOTUNA to at least give them. We have this scientist in FAO, his name is Pedro Barros, who's trying to demonstrate the system to Mozambique that East African has moved this far so that you can join them, so that you can go together. Because the good thing of the system is being developed by the regional members in different countries. So we encourage it to have more developers and more scientists over the region so that we can proceed together. So once they accept the testing, because the system is now becoming famous slowly, we hope so. We will be able to reach also to Mozambique and see their contribution on the system, because we need every fisherman, every country at least to contribute on the methodology of data collection, reporting, computation, and the using of the system. And the good thing is, if you own the system, you just install on your servers and you run it. You just only use the software which is available online, and you can update it anytime if there is a new development. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So I don't see any more questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Innocent. That was very inspiring. And again, congratulations to you and your team for this fantastic work you're doing. So now we are going to wrap up. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Oh, sorry, Mr. Paul Obama, please.
Yeah. I have just a little question. First of all, I want to say thank you for such a presentation. This is just an inquiry, since that both of us are using almost the same system. But now, does the Tanzania have any system to monitor the inland fishery? For example, I know in marine there's VMS, there's IAS. Does the Tanzania have any system to monitor the illegal IUU in inland fisheries? For example, in Lake Victoria side.
Thank you for this good question. Currently, we don't have the electronic monitoring system in those freshwater bodies. We are only using logs, data logs, which is not tracking. It's just giving the feedback of the MCS team what has been done. And normally, as I say, the system is flexible. You just only design a form in the system of these finds. For example, you said, I want to collect this kind of parameter. It works like how COBO works or any other ODK works, but this is only for fisheries because it has been integrated with fishing vessels in fisheries species already, and also fishing gears in our different water bodies. So and some logics in fisheries has already been integrated. So the only thing that at the moment now you want to capture, for example, illegal gears, there's already a list of illegal gears. You just mention what type of illegal gears, where did you collect it, and then when you send that data, automatically it collects also the location of where this illegal fishing has been done. And so, but it's naturally done by a human. It's not done by the automation system of tracking, maybe like remote sensing or anything. So it's a human has to see, and once of that, he put those in the log report and then submit the data with the picture, so that the person who was caught with this illegal gear under this location like that. So this application can do that, and we have been trying to start using it at Lake Tanganyika. Recently, we are going to launch that those MCS activity, but it's only on data collection that is being done by those teams who are being sent there. The only tool that helps them is to collect data and they bring them to the same database for decision making. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for the interest of time, we now have to stop. Everyone who still has a question, please feel free to put them in the chat and we will forward them to Mr. Innocent and then revert back to everyone. So again, I would like to thank you all so much for joining. It was a great pleasure to have two fantastic speakers, and it wouldn't be possible without any of you. And before we end, sorry, I would like to hand over to Mr. Devon from SWIOTUNA, who is going to wrap up this fantastic presentation and who will give you some insights on how we move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bianca, and thank you to all our presenters for the wonderful presentation and insight. It has been a really good session, and I hope the team picked up something. And in case you have any follow-up, make sure you reach out to us. Yes, and just to announce that this is our second webinar series. So we had the first one. This is a second one. So if you're interested also to join in our coming webinar series, same topics we'll have different topics within this webinar. Make sure you join us. Also reach out to us and we'll guide you. So we'll be sharing the video as well as the transcript for this webinar so that you can share with your team as well as maybe watch what you missed before you joined. Yes, and also we'll be doing a short survey just to understand how the webinar went from your side, anything that you need for us to improve, as well as what more topics that you're more interested in. Yes, and I think that is all for me. Just to mention that on the third series that we'll be having, we'll announce it maybe early next year. For now, we'll work on it and maybe announce early next year. We'll keep you informed for the next series. Thank you. So I think with that, so maybe we can take a group photo. Maybe everyone can turn on their camera if that is okay with everyone. Thank you for those who are still turning on. Thank you very much. So yeah, we have two screens. I have to take twice. Yes, so thank you very much. And I hand back to you, Bianca, so that you can finish it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devon. And again, thank you all. I hope you have a nice break in the next coming years and have a nice end of the year celebration. I hope we can see you all next year. And yes, all the best and see you soon. Thank you so much and bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.